For this week's things I've learned about this chapter, the two chapters were on communication theory and communication research. So some of the things that I learned about communication research is there's a lot of communication theories, and they all focus on different parts of the process. Like the transmission model views communication as one-way process, like sending messages from sender to receiver. So kind of like an email or like a text message. That's kind of how I looked at it whenever I was reading. Another one is the interaction model. It adds feedback, meaning communication goes back and forth like a conversation. So like kind of quick replies, like stuff like that. And I think that's the best way of communication, is because of whenever you're speaking with someone, you get a response like back and forth, like instantly. Like whereas like an email, like the transmission model, like the email or the text message, kind of putting it in real world, like a real life example, like you have to wait for a reply maybe, or you can't reach someone at a certain time. And then the transactional model, which sees communication as simultaneously and ongoing. So like sending and receiving at the same time. So like this, you're constantly influencing each other with this model, because you just adjust to what the other person says, or like you basically take what they say and use your response off of that. Another thing was for communication research. While like theories, they give us the ideas of it, the research allows us to like test the ideas and better understand communication in real life. Quantitative research, this is like numbers. Like I use quantitative in stats. So like you use patterns and stuff like based on what people do with their communication, or maybe like social media. Like you could see that's a way of communicating as well. Is like if there's something that people post on social media all the time about, then that's a pattern that they use. Qualitative research, this like is like groups. So like maybe an interview, like you observe a certain amount of people on how they communicate, and you use it as like a group, like to get deeper understanding about communication experiences. Like they might talk about, the communicator might talk about like, or the interviewer might talk about maybe to families about health and finances, like, but they take all sorts of people in different areas and not just one group of maybe like health and finances, like how their health is, how their finances is, and use that. I think communication research helps us understand questions like, how does social media affect our relationships, or how do people negotiate with intercultural communication? And I think these are a lot of different ways that you could learn stuff about communication based on like the responses of, or based on the quantitative research, basically the numbers. Communication and theory and communication research are the two sides of the same coin. So basically it's like they're similar, very similar, but one is like the things behind it, and then one is like theory. So basically the research uses the theory, they use the research they get from testing the theories and apply those to the theories. So that's what I've learned from this week's chapters 5 and 6.